We bought the house in March. Naperville, Illinois. One of those suburbs that looks like someone designed it specifically to make you feel like nothing bad has ever happened anywhere. Good schools, clean streets, a Whole Foods 12 minutes away. My wife Dana cried when we got the keys, happy tears. I stood there with a bottle of champagne we couldn't really afford and thought, yeah, this is it. We made it. We paid $387,000 for a 1970s split level that needed work, and we knew that going in. The kitchen was the ugliest room in the house. Dark wood cabinets that looked like they came out of a Brady Bunch fever dream, laminate flooring peeling at the corners, and this one section of drywall near the pantry that had been painted over so many times, it looked like it had a skin condition. Dana wanted it gone first, said she couldn't cook in a room that depressed her. We started demo on a Saturday in April. I rented a reciprocating saw, put on a dust mask, and started cutting. Most of it came out easy. Old drywall crumbles fast, but when I got to that back section near the pantry, the saw hit wood behind the drywall, not a stud, something solid. I knocked on it, and it knocked back hollow. I cut around it and pulled the drywall away in chunks until I was looking at a wooden panel, maybe 3 feet wide and 4 feet tall, fitted neatly into the framing of the wall. Old wood, dark. Someone had built this deliberately, set it inside the wall structure, and then drywalled over it like they were burying it. Dana was standing behind me. I remember she said, "What the hell is that?" I pried it open with a flathead. The smell hit us first. Not rot, not mold, just this stale, closed-up air that felt wrong in your lungs, like breathing out of a jar that had been sealed for 30 years. Inside the compartment, there was a shelf, maybe 18 inches deep. On it, a stick of chalk, worn down to a nub, a Ouija board, the old Milton Bradley kind, still in its original box, but the cardboard was soft with age. And a book. The book was the thing. It was small, maybe the size of a paperback, bound in what looked like dark leather, no title on the cover. I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what it was, but I've done enough searching since to tell you it was almost certainly a grimoire. Specifically something that looked like a handmade copy of sections from the Grand Grimoire, also known as Le Dragon Rouge. Red ribbon bookmark, pages covered in handwritten text, diagrams, circles with symbols I didn't recognize. We are not religious people. Dana's an accountant. I manage a logistics warehouse. We don't do crystals, or tarot, or any of that. So we did what any pair of rational adults would do. We put it all on the kitchen counter and laughed about it for 20 minutes. Called it a housewarming gift from Satan. Dana posted a picture of the Ouija board on Instagram with a ghost emoji. We kept it, shoved it in a box in the garage because neither of us knew what to do with it. And it seemed like the kind of thing you show people at parties. The first night it happened was about 2 weeks later. I was in bed, maybe 1 in the morning, that deep sleep where you're fully gone, and I came out of it like someone had grabbed me by the collar, instantly awake, heart racing, and I didn't know why. I lay there in the dark, listening, and then I heard it. A door, one of the interior doors, I still don't know which one, slamming shut. Not like the wind, not like it drifted closed, slammed, like someone had put real weight behind it. I got up and checked the house. Every door was open. Every window was closed. But here's what I didn't mention the first time I told this story, what I left out because I didn't want to think about it too hard. When I walked through the kitchen that night, and I don't know why I went to the kitchen, I wasn't thirsty, my feet just took me there. The wooden compartment was open. The panel was hanging off its hinge, slightly ajar. I had closed it. I know I had closed it because I remember pressing it shut with my palm and feeling the wood settle into the frame. It was open. I closed it again, went back to bed, and didn't sleep. The second time was 9 days later. Same time, same dead of night hour, Same slamming, except this time, it happened 3 times in a row. 3 separate slams with maybe 4 seconds between each one. Dana was awake too. We both lay there, not talking. When it stopped, she said quietly, "It's that stuff in the garage, isn't it?" And I said, "Don't be insane." I checked the kitchen in the morning. The chalk was on the counter, not in the box in the garage. On the counter, sitting in the middle of the kitchen island, like someone had set it there deliberately. I picked it up, and my hand was shaking, and I didn't say anything to Dana because I didn't know how to say it without sounding like I had lost my mind. I put the chalk back in the box. I taped the box shut. I put it back in the garage. The third night, and this is the one I still can't explain to myself in any way that makes me feel okay. I woke up at the same hour and the slamming was already happening when I came out of sleep. I sat up in bed and Dana was already awake and she was pointing at the bedroom doorway, and her face was a color I had never seen on her face before. On the floor of the doorway, in the threshold between the hallway and our bedroom, there was a symbol, drawn in chalk, a circle with lines radiating outward and something written inside it in the same handwriting I had seen in the book. Neat, deliberate, unhurried handwriting. It had not been there when we went to sleep. Our dog Biscuit was in the corner of the room, pressed against the wall, and he was not making a sound, not barking, not whimpering, just staring at the doorway with his ears flat and his whole body trembling. I took a photo of the symbol, stepped over it, and did not go back to sleep. In the morning, I called a guy on Craigslist, listed under antiques and collectibles, serious occult collector, no judgment, fair prices. His name was Trevor. He drove a Subaru Forester, and he showed up on a Tuesday in khakis and a fleece vest and looked like he sold insurance. I showed him the photo of the symbol on my phone before I showed him the box. He looked at it for a long time, longer than I was comfortable with. Then he said, "Did you touch it?" And I said no. And he nodded like that was the right answer and didn't explain why. He took the box, $40, didn't negotiate, didn't linger, put it in his trunk and left faster than he'd arrived. We haven't heard the door since. The symbol on the floor was gone by the time we came back from the driveway after Trevor left. No chalk residue, no mark, like it had never been there. I have the photo on my phone. I've looked at it maybe twice. I don't look at it at night. I don't look at it alone. I'm not telling you what it means. I'm not telling you what any of it means. I'm telling you that something in that house, or something connected to what we found in that wall, drew a symbol on the floor of our bedroom while we were sleeping in it. And I'm telling you that a man who collects occult objects for a living looked at a photo of that symbol, and his first question was whether we had touched it. I think about that question a lot. I think about what the answer would have meant if it had been yes. I'll be straight with you. Buying a house in Houston with 3 kids, a dog, and a husband who thinks he's handier than he actually is, was already a disaster in progress. We closed on the place in January, Cypress, Northwest Houston, one of those neighborhoods where every third house has a basketball hoop in the driveway, and the HOA will fine you for leaving your garbage cans out 20 minutes too long. Normal, aggressively, suffocatingly normal. The house was built in 1987. Previous owners had done some updates, new roof, new HVAC, but the interior still had that late 80s layout where the rooms don't quite make sense. Hallways that feel a half foot too narrow, ceiling heights that change for no reason. My husband Marcus said it had character. I said it had bad bones. We bought it anyway, because we were exhausted. The schools were good, and we had been looking for 11 months. Our kids are 9, 12, and 14. Within a week, they had broken a lamp, scuffed every door frame, and turned the den into a controlled demolition zone. The 9-year-old, Cody, is the chaos agent. The kind of kid who bounces off walls. Literally. So when I heard the thump from the first floor hallway, and then the sound of drywall giving way, I didn't even put down my coffee. I just walked in from the kitchen and yelled his name. He was standing in the hallway holding a soccer ball, staring at a hole in the wall about the size of a cantaloupe. The section of wall at the end of the first floor hallway, just past the coat closet near the back of the house, he'd been kicking the ball against it, the way kids do, and on one kick it had gone clean through. I came over ready to lecture him about the cost of drywall per square foot, and then I stopped. Because what I could see through that hole was not the interior of a wall cavity. I could see space, real space. A room. Marcus grabbed a flashlight. We pulled away a section of the drywall. It came off in sheets, old and brittle, and behind it was a door. A real door, wooden, painted over to match the hallway wall so precisely that you'd never see it unless you knew to look. Someone had done this deliberately and done it well. The door opened inward. The smell came out immediately. I can't describe it accurately and do it justice. The closest I can get is this. You know how a butcher shop smells? That iron copper fat combination that sticks to the back of your throat? Take that, close it in a room with no ventilation for a long time, and underneath it put something wet and organic decomposing in the dark. That's what came out of that doorway. My kids were behind me, and I turned around and told them in a voice I have never used before or since to go to the living room right now and stay there. Something in my face made all three of them go without arguing. Even Cody. Marcus and I went in. It wasn't a room exactly. It was a small landing, maybe 6 feet by 6, with a steep wooden staircase going straight down into darkness. The basement. The house hadn't been listed as having a basement. The inspection hadn't flagged a basement. The floor plan showed a concrete slab foundation, but here was a staircase going down into the ground underneath a house that was never supposed to have one. We went down. The floor was bare concrete, permanently damp. The walls were raw cinder block, dark with moisture. There was one pull chain light bulb in the center of the ceiling that somehow still worked. And when Marcus pulled it, I saw the space clearly for the first and last time. The bones were in the corner, arranged, not scattered. Someone had placed them deliberately and carefully. I am not a forensic expert, but I know what small bones look like. Child-sized, multiple individuals, the police would later tell us. The remains of at least 3 children, likely between the ages of 6 and 12, dead for somewhere between 20 and 30 years. We called 911 from the driveway, with our 3 kids sitting in the car, doors locked. I had my arms around all 3 of them, and I kept thinking about how many times Cody had kicked that ball against that wall before it finally went through, how many nights we had slept 30 feet from that staircase. The investigation determined the bones belonged to children who had gone missing in the northwest Houston area between 1998 and 2001. DNA was degraded. No identifications were ever made. The previous owner, a single man who had lived there for 14 years, had died in 2019 in an unrelated accident. No living relatives to question. The case went cold within 8 months. We didn't stay in the house. We took a loss I'm not going to put a number on because it still makes me want to throw up. Somewhere in a Houston suburb right now, there are at least 3 families who don't know where their children are, have never known, have been living with that for 25 years. And the closest thing to an answer was sitting in a concrete basement under a house that passed inspection. I think about that every single day. I think about it every time Cody kicks a ball in the house, and I don't tell him to stop. It was a beautiful place, objectively, built in the 1880s. High ceilings, original hardwood floors, clawfoot tub, exposed brick in the kitchen. The host, who we never met in person, all keypad entry, had decorated it in that maximalist way that looks professional, but is really just a person with too much time and a home goods account. 5 stars on 42 reviews. Everyone loved it. We were there for a week. Jazz Fest overlap, which meant the whole city was loud and alive, even at 2 in the morning. That's important context, because the first few nights, the sounds I heard didn't alarm me the way they would have in silence. Night 2, I heard glass break somewhere in the house, got up, found nothing broken, nothing disturbed. Night 3, there were footsteps above us. Impossible, because we were on the top floor. I told myself, old houses settle. But these weren't creaks. They had rhythm. They started and stopped deliberately. Night 4, I heard a grunt, a single low human vocalization from somewhere inside the walls. I woke Reese up and she heard it too. We sat in the dark, listening for 20 minutes, but it didn't come again. In the morning, we laughed about it. But day 4, I found something I didn't laugh about. On the kitchen counter, next to the coffee maker, there was a glass of water, full, fresh. Neither of us had poured it. Reese said she must have done it half asleep and forgotten. I didn't argue, but I stood there looking at that glass longer than was normal. Day 5, Reese's sandal was moved. She'd left both at the front door the night before, side by side. In the morning, one of them was at the bottom of the stairs, sitting upright in the middle of the floor, not kicked, placed. Reese had an explanation. I was done finding explanations. That evening, I started measuring. The back hallway felt a foot narrower than the exterior suggested. I measured the outside of the house on the bedroom side, then the interior, then again because I thought I'd made a mistake. 11 inches. The wall was 11 inches thicker on the inside than the outside accounted for. I stood in front of the large built-in wooden wardrobe in the master bedroom for about 2 minutes. Then I pushed it. It moved. The whole thing rolled on a floor track. Smooth, quiet, well-maintained. Behind it was a hollow corridor. Behind that was a narrow passage, maybe 3 feet wide, running the full length of the bedroom wall. I stepped inside, my eyes adjusted. Holes in the wall, 6 inches apart, at eye level, 8 or 10 of them, circular, deliberately bored and painted over on the bedroom side with a wallpaper pattern designed to make them look decorative. Your eyes read them as intentional. They were aimed directly at the bed, at the pillows, at exactly where we had been sleeping for 5 nights. The floor of the passage was clean, not dusty, used. I looked down and saw the notebook. Spiral bound, cheap, drugstore variety. I opened it with the hem of my shirt. It was a log, dates and times going back months. Short notations next to each entry. Arrived 11 p.m., lights out 1 a.m. 2 guests, 1 restless. Window left open, fan on. Multiple guests, all documented in the same neat handwriting. Our dates were in there. Every single night. I put the notebook down and walked back toward the bedroom. I was halfway down the hallway when I heard the front door, not slamming, closing, that specific soft click of someone pulling a door shut carefully so as not to make noise. I ran to the front of the house and threw the door open. Treme at night is never empty. Music from 2 blocks over, a couple walking a dog, and a man on a bicycle moving away from me down the block. Steady pace, not running, not looking back, just getting smaller in the dark until he was gone. I stood on that front step and stared at the empty street for a long time. I called Reese. Then I called the police. Then I called Airbnb. The responding officer was deeply unsurprised. Told us there had been reports of this before. Hosts who build voyeur passages to occupy while guests sleep. The listing came down within 24 hours. The host was identified. No charges filed, as far as I know. We got a full refund. I still check every room I sleep in that isn't my own home. Every hotel, every rental. I check the walls. I check the mirrors. I measure when I can. The reviews for that listing are still in Airbnb's archive somewhere. 42 of them, all 5 stars. Everyone talking about the charm, the authentic character, how they felt right at home. He logged every one of us.